From Victoria, I came to Nanaimo, a city and a ferry port on the east coast of Vancouver Island. It is the second largest city on the island. The old city quarter is a historic downtown neighborhood, featuring beautifully restored heritage buildings. Today, it is a vibrant community hub filled with local boutiques, artisan shops, professional services, and a variety of restaurants and cafes. The Nanaimo Harborfront Walkway is a scenic, multi-use urban trail that runs along the waterfront. I walked along the trail, taking in the beautiful scenery on both sides of the harbor. Starting from Saysutshun Park, a signature waterfront park, I passed the Squarelana Tidal Lagoon and continued along the harbor front. Along the way, besides enjoying beautiful views across the bay and seeing several marinas, I also passed the waterfront restaurants, ice cream parlors, and various local shops. Then I arrived at a grandstand right beside the Bastion, a historic octagonal block house built between 1853 and 1855. It is the only known remaining freestanding tower structure built by the Hudson's Bay Company. Nanaimo city center is not particularly crowded. It is rather quiet and clean, giving the city a relaxed atmosphere that feels quite different from the hustle and bustle of a major city. I had lunch at a restaurant that served simple but delicious food. And of course, I didn't forget to try a piece of a Nanaimo bar, the famous Canadian no-bake dessert named after the city itself. Later, I even made a special trip to Red's Bakery to buy some Nanaimo bars, after local told me that this bakery makes some of the best in town. In Nanaimo, not only are the people very friendly, but even the wild rabbits roaming the street seems quite docile. I also spot deer grazing leisurely in a park right in the city. Before coming to Nanaimo, I had already planned to go hiking on Saysutshun Island. I took a ferry from Nanaimo, and just 10 minutes later, I was already on the island, ready to begin my planned hike. Saysutshun Island is a provincial park, formerly known as Newcastle Island. In late 2021, the BC government officially renamed it Saysutshun Park. Long before its colonial name, however, the Nanaimo people called the island Saysutshun, meaning a place for healing, preparation, and training. There were no permanent residents on Saysutshun, apart from park authorities and caretakers. Seasonal campers can also stay on the island, with several campsites located a short distance from the docks on the south side. The rugged, winding coastline of Saysutshun Island contrasts sharply with its large and tranquil inland forest. The island is off limits to vehicles, making it a peaceful, car-free paradise. Here, the only sounds you hear are those of nature, the wind, the waves, and the calls of wildlife. With the sound of the waves around me and the fresh air filling my lungs, I was completely immersed in this carefree moment, as if I had returned to my childhood. The absence of large predators such as bears and cougars also creates a safe haven for wildlife here. A quiet, shaded path winds through a mature forest of Douglas firs, arbutus, and Gary oaks. Sunlight filters through the leaves, creating beautiful dappled patterns on the forest floor. The lush understory is covered with abundant ferns and native mosses, creating a sense of peace and tranquility. As I walked, I noticed a type of berry bush I had never seen before. A local hiker told me they were called saddle berries. Historically, they were an important food source for indigenous people living along the coast. Then I arrived at Giovando Lookout, a scenic vantage point on Saysutshun Island. From the lookout, I was rewarded with a sweeping panoramic view over the pristine waters of the Salish Sea. Below the viewpoint, steep sandstone cliffs and rocky ledges give way to calm, clear waters and sandy beaches, including Saltari Beach. The beach is named after the historic Japanese-operated herring saltery and a shipyard that was established on the island's west side in 1910. My hiking experience on Saysutshun Island was even better than I had expected. It brought me a wonderful sense of relaxation and joy. Goodbye, Saysutshun Island. I stayed at a B&B in Nanaimo, where my hostess was a warm and cheerful lady. Her house wasn't big, but it was cozy and welcoming, making me feel right at home. I especially admired my hostess' tasteful lifestyle. Let me take you for a walk through her backyard, and you will understand what I mean. She had a chicken coop in the backyard and raised a few chickens. She told me that she could collect fresh eggs every day. She also had 2 adorable and mischievous dachshunds. They brought so much joy to her and to everyone around them. Every morning, my hostess prepared a hearty breakfast for me, of course including the freshest eggs. I hadn't had eggs that fresh in a very long time. I was the only guest staying there at the time. This gave my hostess and me more opportunities to chat, to get to know each other, and even go out for dinner together. When my hostess learned that I wanted to visit Petroglyph Provincial Park at the south end of Nanaimo, she kindly offered to drive me there. Petroglyph Provincial Park was established in 1948 to protect a collection of petroglyphs found near the estuary of the Nanaimo River. The park's main attraction is its high concentration of ancient rock carvings. These carvings date back more than 1,000 years, when First Nations peoples created them as part of their cultural and spiritual traditions. Rock art sites were carefully chosen and were often created in places associated with the power of mystery. Together, my hostess and I also visited Piper's Lagoon Park, one of the most beautiful and unique oceanside parks in Nanaimo, located in the Hammond Bay area in the north of the city. We first strolled along the breakwater, which separates the calm lagoon from the waves of the open sea. Over time, the waves have created a beautiful pebble beach along this section of the breakwater. Later, we walked onto the beach, where quite a few logs had washed ashore. I had heard that children often use these logs to build little forts and play, but we didn't see any that day. Perhaps it was because the weather wasn't ideal for playing outdoors. My trip to Vancouver and Vancouver Island was incredibly rewarding, and I came home with so many wonderful memories that I will cherish for years to come.